Thank you for this chance to introduce myself and the development of my interests. My name is Francis Karagodins. I was born in New York of Latvian parents. I've spent much of my childhood in Riga, Latvia. Today I live in New York with my mother, Birta Auna, who makes her living as a part-time professor and bookbinder. My father lives in Riga, where in the 1960s he was an artist of the counterculture. By the age of 9, I was deeply immersed in the magic community of New York, and even gained some slight renown.
Was this your card?
No, but you were very close. You're off by like 3.
How about this?
Oh, that was it!
It was then I learned how to communicate with people, how to present myself, and how to present an idea. During my spare time in 8th grade, I started visiting the Strand bookstore, which represented for a while a vast unknown of knowledge which I wanted at least to glimpse. I noticed a book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths by Kevin Dutton, and aware of my burgeoning interest in what I would later learn is called the problem of evil, I purchased the book, and so began my interest in psychology and later philosophy. A mentor suggested I read Freud and Jung. Though initially confused by Jung's idea of the archetype, I pressed on such that by the end of 8th grade I was constantly observing types in literature and among people. At the start of 9th grade, I read Albert Camus, whose work shook me. He denied the mythic reality which Jung so captivatingly defended, and for a while I was somewhat discomposed. Camus emphasized the importance of not deceiving oneself with illusions, but living soberly and freely, and though this made sense to me, for a while I was deeply torn between two modes of thought, the mystical and the intellectual, the flexible and the rigid. Answering this dilemma amounted to answering the question, how should I live best? Eventually I had the revelation that we need the illusions which Camus decries, but simply must not live in them always. We go to the theater, and then we leave. Around this time, a friend recommended I read Hermann Hesse's Steppenwolf, whose protagonist is rescued from nausea by romance. The book gave me life, and I began to read and write poetry, becoming especially fond of Yeats, Whitman, Eliot, Hafiz, and many others. In 10th grade, I began to read Russian literature, starting with Crime and Punishment, which showed to me the image of a man flown into the heights of hubris and fallen into the hands of God. I was able to identify with this because I too had recently encountered the limits of my power intellectually, socially, and spiritually. I was unable to cast aside morality, as Nietzsche urged. Rather than being beyond good and evil, I preferred to be down on the earth, as a human, with a sense of what is good and what is not. Upon love's bitter mystery, for Fergus rules the brazen car. Last year, I took an interest in theater. I began to write dialogues which my friends, actors, would perform. I began to study playwrights like Brecht, Chekhov, Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, with the result that I realized dramatic dialogue is the ideal medium in which to explore the problems that had occupied me so far. Good and evil, the psychological type, and really every question the philosophers spoke of. I decided this year to study all of Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, as well as the other major Greek works like those of Plato and Homer. Around this time, I began to write music, which I had the opportunity to perform at a number of venues in Brooklyn.
The dinner table is long, and they smoke of Cain and evil. We didn't know right from wrong, and our feet played under the table.
I interned at the Brooklyn Music School, where I worked on maintaining the auditorium, and at the Irondale Theater Company, where I performed a number of pieces with their youth ensemble in the summer of 2017. I have also interned for the last 4 years at a documentary film company, the Press and the Public Project. I'm grateful to them for helping me to produce this video, and to you for allowing me this chance to introduce myself and the journey which has brought me here. Thank you.